Have you ever wondered how businesses are valued and why two seemingly similar companies can have vastly different price tags? The answer often lies in a critical piece of the valuation puzzle, the multiple. Today, we're going to deep dive into what multiples are in the business valuation world, how they're influenced, and why understanding your business's multiplier is really key to maximizing your business's value. I'm also going to show you where you can find industry-specific multiples and access your own business's position on that scale. I'm Amy Walker, and welcome back to Amy Exits, where we talk all things buying and selling businesses. So just out of curiosity, before we jump into all the info, how many of you actually know the multipliers for your industry? If you do, type them in down below and tell us what industry you're in, because it is fascinating how vastly different they are depending on what you do. Navigating the world of business valuations can be really complex. As I have gone through the process of becoming a certified exit planning advisor, this is something that I really had to do over and over and over again in the certification process, is get comfortable looking at the multipliers and the external factors to figure out what a business is actually worth. It takes some practice, but it's not rocket science, and you absolutely can figure it out. So stick around, and you're not only going to learn about the factors that determine your business multiples, but also how to position your company to attract the best possible valuation. I'll also share some really great resources to help you get started. All right, let's try to understand what a multiplier even is. So a multiple is a factor used in business valuations, and it is to determine a company's value. It's typically based around earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, which is called EBITDA, or it can be sometimes based off of revenue. There are very few industries where it's based off of top line revenue, and in smaller businesses, sometimes it's based on SDE, which is seller's discretionary earnings. But whatever the number is that's the foundation, you're then going to have a factor applied to it, and that factor is going to have a range that will set your company's low-end value or high-end value. Your multiplier is really set by two factors. One is going to be the industry that you're in. The other is going to be what's going on currently in the economy. Each industry has a range of typical multiples, and it's going to be reflecting of the sector's overall risk, growth potential, and profitability norms. However, just knowing what the standard range is for your industry really doesn't tell you what your actual multiple is for your business today, and it doesn't really show you where you're going to be when you exit based on your current trajectory. But what it does show you is it shows you what's possible on the high end, and that in itself I think is super helpful. Now, beyond the industry standard, the part that we do control is our attractiveness and our readiness, and that affects where we fit on that curve. Attractiveness is essentially your business's attractiveness to a potential buyer. It looks at things like your customer base, your market position, your growth potential, and the more attractive you look from the outside, the more you're going to gear towards the high end of the multiples. The next is the readiness. This refers to how prepared your business is for sale, including things like the strength of your financial records, the stability of your team, how well your operations allow the business to be able to run without you. Is it an owner-independent business, or is it an owner-dependent business? A business that is ready to be transitioned is going to be more appealing to buyers, and it's going to command a higher multiple. The third thing that is within your control is revenue. And your revenue isn't just a number, it's really a sign of your business's health and the potential that you have for growth. The larger, more stable revenue streams can significantly push you towards the high end of your multiples. Let's talk about the consequences for having a low score in attractiveness and readiness. This actually can lead you towards having a zero multiplier. Meaning that the business is valued solely on the assets of what you currently own in the business, and it's not even going to hit a multiple of EBITDA. The reason for that is because the business isn't sellable. There's something going on in that business that were you to try to transfer it to someone else, everything might fall apart, and it looks really high risk from the outside, or nobody wants it. I'm going to give you an example of a business that I saw that I would have said you have a 0 multiple. They were in a home service business, and this business was this man going out and providing all of the service for all of his clients, and his wife doing all of the bookkeeping and all of the back end for the entire business. They had a one-off business model where they had to get new clients all the time. There was no reoccurring model. They didn't have contracts. The business truly could not run without them, and it was completely a job. And between 2 people working full-time in the business, they were only doing like $175,000 in sales, and their profits were pretty low. Their percentage of EBITDA to sales was lower than the industry average. Their sales were lower than the industry average. There was really nothing about that business that was attractive to a potential buyer. It was interesting because I met them at an event where we did a mixer between buyers and sellers, and there was somebody that was interested in buying in their specific area that was there, and I talked to him afterwards. He said, I would not touch that business with a 10-foot pole. So if your business right now, and let's be gut level honest, because you can only start change when you start from a place of reality, right? But if your business right now today would be the type of business that someone else would say, I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole, you probably would have a 0 multiple, right? So we need to figure out where you fit on that scale. And that's something that I don't recommend doing on your own, because you are a little bit too close to it. And it's hard. You love your business. You've benefited from it. You've poured your heart and soul into it. It's hard to sometimes look at it and say, okay, this isn't actually as attractive or ready as I want it to be. So I'd recommend you get a third-party evaluation there. When you take a look at your business, you got to answer the question, would you actually be selling a business, or would you just be finding someone to replace you in your job? And if that's the case, you could pass that business off to someone else, but you're not likely going to withdraw a lot of cash from it because there's not enough cash in the business to actually afford paying you. So let's give you some resources that are going to be really helpful in understanding kind of this world of multiples and help you to look at other deals that are out there. BizBuySell is one of my favorite resources. When you go on there, you can look at a company's EBITDA and you can look at the asking price, and then you can look at it and see, okay, what's the multiple that they think they're worth? It doesn't mean that's actually what they're worth, and it doesn't mean that's actually what it's going to sell for, but it gives you a chance to kind of look at those 2 numbers side by side and just get a feel for what those EBITDAs are. There are some other resources where you can go and look at deals that have been done. You can look at deal stats. You can also look at PitchBook, and these offer data on industry-specific multiples. These platforms can kind of give you a benchmark, but remember, the exact multiples are completely dependent on your business's unique attributes and where you fit on that attractiveness and readiness score. So now that you have this information, let's talk about what you're going to actually do with it. First of all, I want to call out the elephant in the room and acknowledge that this is one of those pee your pants numbers in your business where you see the number for the first time, you're like, that freaking makes me want to pee my pants and or cry a little bit. It just is what it is. Everybody has that same experience when they look at this number for the first time. It does not mean that you're a bad business owner. It does not mean that you can't sell your business down the road for a great multiple. It doesn't mean that you need to burn the house down and go rant and rave at your team because they're failing you. All this is going to do is it's going to show you where you're currently at, and it's going to show you what is possible. And I love possibility. I love looking at my business from that place of, okay, I can see where we can get to. Now, what does that roadmap look like for us to actually get there? This for me is a rallying point. I think every business should be looking at their multiplier, and they should be looking at their value, and every 90 days seeing how they've been able to increase it. Right now, you probably have people on your team who are just looking at business as a checklist of things that they should do. You might have some people on your team who are looking at sales and they're looking at revenue. You have very few people on your team who are actually looking at profits, and almost no one's looking at value. What if instead you got everybody on the team focused on building the value in the company? And what if everyone on the team, as they focus on value, also was aware of profits? Because you have to be in order to understand value. And you also have to be aware of sales in order to increase profits. And it just really shifts everybody's mindset so that you get your team moving towards that ultimate destination, which is we want to be a valuable company. Because at the end of the day, you're going to retire. You cannot work until you die. And even if you do, at that point, the business still has to transition. And if your business is ready for transition, your people still have jobs. Your customers still get taken care of. The best thing that you can do for your business is really navigate the value acceleration process and be committed to it. Your retirement self will thank you, I promise. And if you don't even have a team yet, let's just remind ourselves that we throw in the word yet. You can start building processes, you can start building systems, and you will start growing your team, because we don't want someone to be trying to buy your job down the road. And I definitely don't want you just closing your doors when that time comes. It's time to start now to get your business to a point where it is valuable, it is transferable, it is sellable. And if you want the absolute fastest path there, it's probably going to look like growth through acquisition. Understanding and influencing your business multiple isn't just about fetching a higher price at the sale. It's about recognizing and enhancing the underlying value of your company. By focusing on your attractiveness and readiness and knowing where you stand within your industry, you can take actionable steps towards increasing your business's value. And in the process, every year you grow your value, you're also growing your profits. For more great content, make sure that you hit the like button and then subscribe to the channel so you can get notified every time we release new content. If you want some help in this department and you don't want to run the numbers alone, maybe it feels like a dangerous neighborhood where you should go with a companion, I would be happy to help walk you through this process. In my 8-Figure Exit podcast, we do on-air exit planning with business owners. We'll go through your numbers privately beforehand, and then we're going to go through, find the best opportunities for you to increase your value and help you map out that plan. To apply, I'm going to put the link down below in the description. I would absolutely love to chat with you. Until next time, keep growing, keep building, and let's get you to your 8-Figure exit.